Hey, 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 here's Cyndi and Rona for episode 9 of our Tools for Awakening podcast. Hey, Rona.
Hey, Cyndi. Welcome, everyone, to our
Feeling,
or actually, it's our 9th, right?
I
Episode.
think it is our 9th episode. I didn't write them all down. Can you name the first 8? You don't have to do it in order.
I can do it for us.
Okay.
Our first episode was about honesty and our alignment and consistency with being honest about our true selves. Our second episode was about the pause, one of my faves. Third episode is about trust. Everything is perfect and all is well. Our fourth episode was about gentleness, willing to be soft with ourselves and our stories and the seeming others. And then in our fifth episode, we talked about tolerance, which doesn't mean we're just, enduring somebody and their bad habits. It's about getting rid of judgment, noticing that judgment and letting it pass by like a cloud. In our sixth episode, we talked about joy, which is something that I am so grateful to have experienced today with, and what we pointed to was that's the absence of the thinking mind is where joy comes in. And that is a result of putting all these episodes into practice. And so we took it upon ourselves in our seventh episode to do a bit of a review. So our listeners can take advantage of that and just go over them. And then last episode, when you heard from us in number 8 was defenselessness. The idea that all sense of attack comes from our false beliefs about the truth of who we are.
And who are we, Rona?
Who are we? I am that I am.
The light of the world.
I am the light
Just
of
like
the world.
that little light right behind your head.
There it is.
Today, the title is Generosity. And you and I were talking before we hit the record button. And what was very obvious, and I've got chills, so I know whenever I get chills like this, I'm about to say something, and then all the hair just stands up on my arms. So to me, it's an indication of a message that has value to me and perhaps to another. And the way it's coming through is that all of these tools are gifts from the infinite consciousness. And they come in and when we allow, they meet us where we think we are, and they help us step into more and more the truth, infinite consciousness, the continuous unfolding into higher and higher consciousness. And it's different for each one of these body, mind, personalities. It's like chills again. So I guess this is of value. Carpenter has his tool chest, right? You open it up and there's a hammer and there's a screwdriver and there are saws and whatever else, is in the carpenter's tool chest. And with those tools, the carpenter can make an infinite number of things. The tool itself is not the goal. It's the doorway or the gateway or a process that we get to use to satisfy our intention. And I'm being careful because our only intention whether you know it or not, is to know thyself, or truth realization, or to have the direct experience of the I am, however the words are for you. Yeah.
I love the idea of the toolkit, and the truth is, if we look at all these episodes, it's not as if they don't build upon each other and you need to have 1, 2, and 3 in order to use the tool number 5 of tolerance or 6 of joy. They don't necessarily, but they complement each other, and they bring one back every time to the sense in that question. Who is the I that is part of this story that is judging? So I love the idea that we have this kit, and I can take any one of them out and it leads me back to truth.
I'd like to add one thing to what you just said, because there is one of those tools that makes all the other tools work. So without trust, none of the tools will be worth much of anything. Without trust in infinite consciousness, trust in the sense that all is well, however you want to put that, it's a requirement. Yeah.
Yes.
So that it is what on all these other tools stand on. So I'm going to hand things over to you in just a moment, so that you can share how this tool of generosity is alive in you right now, what you want to share with others. Before I do that, I just want to put it out there. To give and to receive is one in truth. And for decades, one way or another, we've heard some variation of that tool. Don't put a clink in the hose. You have to make room. You have to empty your cup so it could be filled again. It doesn't matter. It's just that this concept that what I extend out is equivalent to what comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It may not have the same colors and the flavors and stuff. But everything that we're doing, this whole trust in infinite consciousness, requires the acceptance that there is no world. On some level, we all understand that there is nothing out there, that we are safe, that we do have God's infinite power and love flowing through us. So to give and to receive are one in truth, has at its root this understanding that there is no me in a world out there. With that, I'd love to hand this over to you, Rona.
Thank you, Cyndi. That was a great reminder. It's interesting when we decided that generosity would be this month's episode. I of course did my search in A Course in Miracles, and basically it's just in the manual for teachers is where they talk about generosity. And so some of the ideas that I was able to gather about that is, to the world, generosity means that we're giving something away, and it means that we're giving up something, that there's a sacrifice there. And in the world of truth, there are no sacrifices. There is no lack. There is just total abundance, and there's always enough. Here it means in order to keep the generosity of spirit, we must give it away. I will always be refortified. And so I was thinking about the idea of love. For me, is where this was pointing today. Was if I can give enough love away, then that means I get to keep it. and that God is so generous with me. You know, all my worldly needs are met. All my spiritual needs are met. I can bask in that love and feel it. I am love today. And so have the ability to pass that on and share that with my brothers and sisters. What it means to me today is to really be aware of the judgment for me when it comes up, and it builds on these previous episodes, Be very aware of when I'm judging, because that is not love. No. Can I give love today? Can I be love today? And that just fills me up. Just the idea of that fullness of heart, and know that there's an everlasting, eternal source of this love. Not only for me, but for anything that I think I seemingly encounter. Generosity is a real cure for the way of seeing the world for me today. And it just continues to tell me that if I remember the truth of what I am, that there is always love. And as a body mind, I don't even have to effort in that. I can pause and rest at any point and tap into that love, and then be able to share it. So thank you for allowing me to flow with that. And your turn, Cyndi.
And I just want to say thank you so much for being so generous with the love that's flowing through you. I can feel it. I feel surrounded and embraced and blessed by it. So when I sat with this lesson, I saw an invitation for all of us to get a little dirty. There's something that I look at, this statement, and it's in the course, that we can trust the world completely, which is cool. And people will say, what do you mean we could? The world's a dream. How do you trust the world completely? We trust the world completely because what it is, it's showing us the thoughts that have been believed in the mind, right? So all of us seemingly individual beings have our own seemingly unique stories. And no matter who we are, at least in my story, I have never met and connected with anyone that doesn't have some fear in their story, some level of judgment or guilt or anger, something that limits their full embodiment of truth.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular, when it comes to generosity, what lights up for me is lack stories, right? And I was just looking at the own lack stories in Cyndi's life. I would, but I can't because I don't have XYZ. What becomes very interesting, and it becomes this balancing line, as I'm in this place where I could say, well, it's not really affecting my peace, except that there's still, it's subtle. It's a lot subtler than it was because I don't really, I'm not as attached to the Cyndi story as I once was, but you walk into these pockets, right? And almost everyone that I work with that comes to me and that I spend and hold time with, they have some level of a lack story. You know, I would be more at peace if there was enough money to pay my bills, if I had a partner, if my body performed better, if I was younger, if I lived in a different, whatever it was, I don't have, so I can't be. The world is reflecting to us this sense of less than or lack or constriction. And how does that, what do we do about that relative to generosity? What I am seeing even as I'm sitting here opening for my own direct experience, for the direct experience of everyone who is with us right now, Rona. Can you feel that? Like, this is an opportunity for a direct experience where we, back in the days, we're not talking about the borderland, but the borderland is what's coming up for me. We accept that we've never left source, all right? To give and to receive are one in truth. And that it doesn't matter whether what form the giving and the receiving takes, right? Whether it's money or love or time, whatever form, service, doesn't matter. To give and to receive are one in truth. If you're here, these teachings have called to you, so there's an acceptance on some level of that. So we trust, let's trust that basic teaching, that we've never left our source, that everything is infinite consciousness, that we are ultimately the light of the world, whatever the line is. So we're trusting that. We're willing to be honest. Oh, tears are coming up. So I'm not going to pretend that there is I'm not going to pretend that there isn't some version of a lack or constriction story happening in this body, mind, personality. I'm not going to deny the experience. I don't have to believe it. But we talked in the very first episode about honesty. Radical honesty is the willingness to be honest with ourselves, to be fully consistent and in alignment. Our insides and the outsides are no judgment, open, free, right? So we allow whatever's coming up to be, and then we hang in the pause. And so essentially, like in my world right now, there's a couple of different lack stories blossoming. Not really attached to them. They don't limit my sleep. I don't spend time talking about them so much anymore, but they're there. And they do feel somewhat constricting. And I ask for the healing right here, right now, right? Which requires bringing the stories out of hiding. Don't have to tell you about them. Just be honest, let them come, let the experience of them blossom and bloom while I hang out in the pause, trusting that all is well, not trusting the story, trusting all is well. And from that place, following the inner guidance to extend and give generously in whatever way inspiration requests. That could be through service, that could be money, that could be cooking food, that could be walking the neighbor's dog, or taking the time to stop and talk to somebody on the street, whatever it is, that's all the same, right? We let go of clinging and holding and hiding and saying, I can't because I don't have. If I am inspired to go and help a neighbor clean out their apartment, if that is the inspiration, this idea that I don't have the energy for it, picture that relative to everything we've discussed, right? This idea, I can't go and do that manual labor. I'm too tired. Where's the kink in the flow? Where's the belief in lack? Do you see it? Is that crazy?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the word challenge is coming up, but for me, that's the invitation for all of us in this tool labeled generosity. Notice any version of I can't, or I don't want to, or I would if I could, but this is the limitation. Just notice. Recognize that it comes from some version of a sense of a lack, a sense of I am something other than infinite consciousness. I am somehow limiting God through me, if you want to put it that way. And then go into the pause. Allow it to come up and just hand it over. Hand it over in the pause. Trust that all is well. Let go of your judgment, and you'll be guided. What do you think? Or
That's so
what's coming up?
beautiful. I just got to say, I wonder if other people listening too, I mean, you can have just a direct experience listening to you process that. And I honor you for using your own example for that, Cyndi. It's so powerful, so very powerful. And I love the pointing, right? Those questions. I can't because I don't have. I mean, we have everything we need. And it's that inner guidance that you brought us to, with the processing and allowing these feelings to come up. It doesn't mean I have to call my girlfriend and tell the story. It's allowing these constrictions and these tight feelings and physical and mental just to rise. It's not going to kill us. It really isn't. In fact, it's the release of it. And then to come to that understanding that inner guidance is going to lead me. I always have enough for what inner wisdom wants me to do next, where I'm being led. Just beautiful.
So, yeah, there's a couple things I want to say. Number one, how do I put this? I don't feel all that attached in this moment to the Cyndi story. So there is lack in the Cyndi story. And there is a desire to heal that, but it's not personal, which is why it makes it so much easier to allow, even if there's feelings of lack or less than or judgment or whatever, they don't feel as personal as they used to, hanging out and doing these podcasts, showing up consistently for the work. I think we've talked about consistency,
Yes.
trusting that all is well. Everything we're talking about, Rona, you and I both live, right? We've made the commitment to this work, and it's the commitment and the practice and the willingness. You don't even notice when things start changing until you do. Like just in this moment when you were saying that, like, thank you for being so vulnerable about your story, and what was coming up, I was like, that's not my story.
Right.
That's a story that's flowing through me. And it seems to be mine to hold and love and let go of. But I am what you are. Love, infinite consciousness. I'm not the temporary. None of us are the temporary.
It's just so beautiful not to take ourselves so serious anymore. I love the pointing of it's not personal. It's just a thought in the mind. It's just a story. It's just a passing cloud, and it's not mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the other thing that's coming alive. And again, the hair, the hair standing up. I'm feeling inspired to say this very specifically. There's no forced generosity in what we're discussing. And what we're discussing is definitely not limited. Actually, all material items, all form in whatever, whether it's money or possessions or any of those things, they're symbols. That's all it is, right? So there's nothing about what you and I just shared that said tithe 10%, spend 10 hours a week in a soup kitchen. Any forced action in the world from a sense of guilt or wanting to prove something limits. It doesn't expand. The pointing that we just discussed in the last 20, 25 minutes, I don't know how long we've been here, was very clear. Notice any story of I can't because I don't have, if only I could obtain, I don't have the energy, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have whatever, all the lack stories that limit you following inner guidance. You notice when they show up, even if you're believing them continuously. You get quiet, you trust these teachings, you say, yes, I don't believe, you can even say, I don't believe the teachings, I believe I'm the lack, but I'm going to trust the teachings. You slow yourself down, you hang out in the pause, you give your willingness to have the judgments in you released. You see them, and you give your willingness to step away, and you allow the truth to heal this illogical sense of lack, right? And then from that space, you'll know what you're inspired to do, whether it's give away money or time or love. Well, you can't give away love, can you? You can simply extend it. You can't give away any of these things. Everything's just an extension. It's a rise and fall.
Right. We're just really
else?
giving ourselves, right?
That's right. Is there more, Rona, or are we complete?
I feel very complete.
Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone who hung out with us. This experience, all of these podcasts, everything that goes into preparing for them, to sharing what's coming on through us, tremendous blessing for me anyway, for this body, mind, personality. I can feel the shifting and the changing and everything that's lighting up. I'm in love with all of us, and I'm so grateful for your presence. This is one of a series of Tools for Awakening, one of a larger series in the Awareness podcast. There is an invitation for you to go ahead and check out everything that has taken place before and everything that's going to take place after. And reach out, questions, thoughts, comments. How has this affected you? What are your concerns? Whatever. It'll all be read and held and responded to. So that's all I got. Yeah.
Thank you, Cyndi.
Thank you,
Thank you
Rona.
for a great episode.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.